Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to completely shatter this huge myth that the intense July heat means your gardening window is closing. A lot of people look at their wilting plants midsummer, throw in the towel, and just give up. But we're here to show you exactly why that's a massive missed opportunity.
Alright, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll tackle the second season myth. Then we'll dive into crops that crave cold, followed by vegetables that love heat. After that, we'll look at the fast-growing sprinters, and finally, we'll wrap up with the frost date formula.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1. The second season myth, why July is a beginning, not an end. So many home gardeners look at their sad, heat-stressed gardens right around now and think, well, I missed my chance. But we are going to flip that idea entirely.
Just like this quote says, July is not the end of the planting season, it is the beginning of the second one. July is literally the gateway to a massively productive fall harvest, provided you know exactly what to put in the ground. It's a total shift in perspective. You aren't finishing up, you're really just getting started on round 2.
Think about it like this. Spring and summer crops fight this brutal uphill battle against rising temperatures, which usually leads to tough textures and just intense pest pressure. But fall crops, they're planted in that warm July soil, but they mature as the air cools down. Imagine this dropping temperature triggering a biological reaction inside the plant, almost like watching an animation of nature rewriting its own code, actively converting starches right into sugars. The result? A dramatically sweeter, much more tender harvest, with practically zero cabbage moths to fight off.
If you've ever watched a time-lapse animation of your spring broccoli bolting, shooting up into flowers almost overnight, you know exactly how heartbreaking it is. The heat stresses the plant out, totally ruining the flavor. But a fall harvest, grown in declining temperatures, completely eliminates this frustrating problem, because the plant just never feels that heat-induced panic.
Moving on to Section 2, crops that crave cold, and the science of cold sweetening. Let's look at how our second season builds with crops that actively transform when the frost hits. Look at the sheer culinary advantage of these cold cravers on the screen. Take kale, for example. A hard frost doesn't kill it. It actually makes it tender and sweet. Broccoli heads grow tighter and deeper green. Beets are amazing because, get this, you can pull the young greens in just 3 to 4 weeks, basically getting 2 crops from one planting. And a carrot pulled in November after a few frosty nights, it's going to be remarkably sweeter than anything you'd buy at the grocery store because of that starch-to-sugar conversion we were just talking about. Oh, and Swiss chard is your ultimate bridge. It handles the July heat like a champ and then cheerfully survives right into the cold of November or December.
To get these incredible flavor profiles, you really want to seek out specific, reliable varieties. Things like lacinato or dinosaur kale, which handles frost beautifully, or Chioggia beets with that stunning candy cane interior. But keep in mind, July heat makes germination kind of tricky. For seeds like carrots, you'll need to water the seed bag thoroughly and cover it with a board or burlap for a week to block the sun. Just treat them like little garden vampires, avoiding the daylight until they sprout.
Alright, Section 3. Vegetables that love heat, thriving in the brutal July sun. Let's pivot from our cold cravers to the crops that actually prefer those scorching midsummer conditions.
Now, before we look at our heat lovers, it is vital to know that sweet potatoes are grown from slips, not seeds. Slips are rooted sprouts taken from mature sweet potatoes. If you can find these online or at a local garden center right now, you need to act incredibly fast.
While your spring crops might be wilting, these 4 vegetables are native to hot climates and will absolutely thrive in your garden's most brutal midsummer conditions. Just look at okra, native to Africa. It literally loves 90-degree-plus humid weather. Malabar spinach is a brilliant alternative to true spinach. It's a tropical vine that flourishes in 80-degree soil and, best of all, it simply never bolts. And cowpeas, also known as black-eyed peas, are incredible because they're nitrogen-fixing legumes that can tolerate poor, sandy soil where absolutely nothing else will grow.
Seriously, urgency is everything right now. Sweet potatoes require up to 120 frost-free days. If you don't get your slips in the ground today and you live in a zone with a late fall frost, you are going to be waiting a full year to try again.
Which brings us to Section 4, the fast-growing sprinters, rapid succession planting for quick wins. If 120 days sounds like way too much of a commitment for you right now, let's look at the crops that sprint to the finish line.
22 days. Think about how fast that is. If we were to watch an animation of a standard radish, like the cherry bell growing, it would just be a total blur. It goes from a tiny seed in your hand to a crisp vegetable on your dinner plate in just over 3 weeks.
These sprinters are incredibly efficient space savers. You can literally scatter radish seeds between your slower-growing broccoli plants. The radishes germinate fast, loosen up the soil, and boom! They're harvested weeks before the broccoli even needs the room. Bush beans are another fantastic sprinter. They produce their entire crop in a concentrated 2-week burst, making them perfect for planting in staggered successions. And kohlrabi? It matures in just 45 to 60 days, and the entire plant is usable. The stems taste like this crisp, sweet cross between broccoli and an apple.
Now, we definitely have to manage the July heat for fragile seeds. Notice the pro tip here for lettuce. Lettuce is a bit of a diva, and it literally stops germinating if the soil hits above 85 degrees Fahrenheit. But by simply providing artificial shade, like putting down a board for 2 or 3 days, you drop the temperature just enough to guarantee a beautiful sprout.
Okay, our final section. Section 5, the Frost Date Formula, your master planting tool. We've covered the 15 vegetables across all 3 categories, and now I want to give you the ultimate capstone tools so you know precisely when to put every single one of them into the dirt.
Let's mentally animate this logic step by step to remove all the guesswork. First, find your average first fall frost date. Second, subtract the days to maturity listed on your seed packet. Third, and this is the step everyone forgets, so listen closely, subtract 14 more days. That acts as a crucial weather buffer because autumn has less daylight, which actually slows plant growth down. Doing this creates a customized planting calendar tailored exclusively for your backyard's microclimate. Let's actually apply this. If your frost date is October 15th and you're planting an 80-day broccoli variety, subtract the 80 days, then subtract that 14-day buffer. That brings you to July 13th. Miss that window and you are racing the frost with absolutely zero margin for error.
The real empowerment here is that you don't have to plant all 15 crops today. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick 3 or 4 favorites that match what you actually like to eat. Practice succession planting by sowing a little bit every 2 weeks so you get a continuous harvest rather than a massive glut. Use mulch to fight the intense July evaporation. And hey, don't forget containers. You can easily move a pot of kale or lettuce into the afternoon shade when the sun gets just a bit too intense.
So the second season is officially open, and you now have the exact blueprint to make it a massive success. Are you going to play it safe with those 22-day radishes, or maybe race the frost with a sweet potato slip? Get your hands in the dirt and let us know. Which of these 15 crops are you planting this weekend?